All right.
Okay.
All right, we are live. What's going on, my beautiful ladies? We are live inside of the Women Winning at Weight Loss Facebook community. We're so happy to be here. I'm saying we because I am with one of my amazing clients, Tonya, or she was my client, but you're going to hear all about that in just a second. So this is also going straight to the podcast, the Women Winning at Weight Loss podcast. So for those ladies that are only listening to the podcast, you're going to get this amazing conversation and all the nuggets and the value that we're going to be providing. For those of you who are only inside of the Facebook group, well, you won't be missing out because you're getting us in here as well. So we've had a multitude of technical difficulties. So like we've tried this and it didn't work. And we got frustrated, but one thing that I have learned is that anytime I run into tech issues when I'm trying to record an important conversation with someone, it's always because there was about to be some real fire coming right to you, some really important stuff that was about to be discussed. And yeah, so technology tried to stop us. So, but we are unstoppable. So here we are again. Anyways, so today I am here with Tonya. Tonya was one of my amazing clients for several months. She lost a lot of weight, amazing transformation, body, mind, and soul. And Tonya, first of all, thank you so much for being here and being willing to share your story, be vulnerable, be open, talk about some pretty intimate and personal stuff, right? But I really appreciate you being willing to do that because, you know, it's all about inspiring other women and giving other women hope, right? As they embark on their own journey and they're probably going to be able to relate to a lot of the things that you're going to be discussing and the things that you went through that led you to me. So I think that's important. So I'm glad that you're here. So everybody say hi to Tonya.
Hi, everybody.
Yes. And for those of you who are watching live, drop us a hashtag live right below in the comments. And for those who are watching the replay, drop us a hashtag replay. We want to know who's tuning in. We want to know who's getting value, y'all. So without further ado, hi, Tonya.
Hi, Anna. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I miss you.
I miss you too. I miss you too. Yes, I definitely do. Y'all, Tonya was like one of my absolute favorite, all-time favorite clients, no lie. So I'm so honored that we're able to do this. So for the ladies on the podcast listening in, for the ladies inside of the community watching, can you give us just a little bit of background on what motivated you to come to me? How did you end up finding me? What was going on in your life? Take us back to that time.
Okay, so at the beginning of 2023, I had decided I was going to lose weight this year, and my motivation was my college homecoming coming up in November. I hadn't gone since 2019. Before that, we went every year. So I was like, okay, I had put on a lot of weight during the pandemic, and actually I started putting on weight before the pandemic. After losing quite a bit of weight in my 40s, I used to run. And when I started running, the weight just kind of dropped off, and I twisted my ankle, and then I stopped running, and the weight started to come back on, and then it just more, and I just couldn't get it off. Even when I started running again, I couldn't get it off. And then I found out I was in menopause, and I said, oh, that's probably why. Women go in menopause and then you just never lose weight again. So I just thought I was just not going to be able to lose. And but I wasn't liking the way I was feeling, and I knew I had to do something. So in January, I said, okay, I got to do something. And I went through a life-changing, just my relationship changed. My husband transferred down to Florida, and I remember being really angry about having to do everything by myself again, with the kids. We lived apart before, and it was fine. He worked in New York. I was here. He was back home all the time. So that worked. But this time was a little different. And I just was really angry and upset in January. And I was just going into this hole. And I knew I needed something to motivate me. I set up a workout place. I started changing my diet, but I cut out a lot of foods I loved. I started drinking a lot of wine, but I did start working out. But I was finding videos, online, and sometimes it took longer. It took longer to find the videos than it would have taken to work out. Like it was crazy. Nothing was happening. Fast forward, it was almost March. I was about to turn 55 and I hadn't lost a pound. So that's when I said, okay, I need something. I need a boost. I need a challenge. So I had seen some reels of Anna's, and I also had listened to a couple of podcasts, and I was like, okay, let me comment on something. And I thought it was a challenge I was about to sign up for. And Anna reached out and she basically, said, hey, what's going on? And I told her a little bit. And she said, well, why don't we set up a call and I'll tell you what I'm about, what I do, and you see if it's anything that, you might need. So we set up the call. I was really nervous about the call, opening up and all of that. I was just kind of nervous. And during the call, right there during the call, I decided this is what I need. She touched on a lot of things I was going through, like almost like I remember thinking, like, has she been in my journal? How she know that? And I remember thinking that during the call, I'm like, and I think I asked you, I said, are you a counselor?
I remember that like it happened yesterday.
So yeah. So I actually signed up during the call, and everybody that knows me knows that I have to think everything through. I usually talk myself out of things, like in the stores when I go in and they want to offer me this, and this is great, you should sign up for this. I say, print it out, let me take it home, let me read it, and I'll sign up later. But during that call, a voice said, this is what you were looking for. You thought you needed a challenge, but this is what you were looking for. And I remember deciding right there on the call to sign up with you. And I did.
Yes.
And I didn't have my groceries or anything. My son already did the grocery shopping, and I remember getting the meal plan, and I was like, oh man, I'm not ready. But here's my very first meal plan.
Oh, y'all, she pulled out the
All
very
these
first.
squares are all my things that I had to change because I didn't have the stuff. And I was like, let me ask her if I can do this and this and this. And I sent it to you. And you was like, perfect.
Yeah, I was like, that's great. You go ahead, do that. I love that. Thank you for breaking that down. So a couple of things I want to highlight. So number one, you experienced what I think most women experienced with the weight gain during COVID, right? Mm-hmm. So that is something that almost any and everyone listening to this conversation is like, oh yeah, that sounds like me too. So many of us put on a lot of weight, right? Because the stress, the anxiety, the world shutting down, us not knowing what was happening around us or what would be happening. And then also just becoming inactive, a lot more sedentary, and just being inside of the house a lot more. And so that's something that so many can relate to in your journey. But then there's also the other thing is that on top of that happened like pretty significant change of life events. And for those who don't know listening or don't know you, but Tonya is in North Carolina. And so then the separation then at the time, your spouse being transferred to Florida. I mean, that's not like right around the corner, right? It's not the next city over. That's a big difference. It's a shock. So even for women listening who that's not necessarily the scenario that they've been through, it's anything that drastically changes, right? How our everyday life is set up or how household is set up. So separation, divorce, move, job loss, right? Financial losses for a lot of women who transition from working out there to working from home, right? Those are all anything that really disrupts our everyday life. It has an impact. And then I know it kind of led you into like that mental, emotional rut. And the other thing I want to highlight before I forget is that you said, okay, so you recognized all of this going on, right? And you were like, I have to take action. I have to live differently. I have to change something because I can't go on like this. And that's the turning point, is when we start to say those things, we start to verbalize it in that way, and the commitment starts to kick in. And I love that. We have to get to that point, right?
Yeah.
Versus I'm whining, I'm complaining, I don't like it, but that's it. Like that's where it ends,
Yeah.
And then you actually did take action. You said, January, I'm getting my shit together. You said January, I'm getting my shit together. Now, what I know about you, which is funny, and I want to highlight that too, is that you had said that many, many Januaries before.
Yeah,
Right.
every January,
Every
every single
January. Right.
every one of them. And I would start off good, like, oh yeah, yeah, and then like, and then
Yes.
it's gone. Yeah,
Yes. And that's and
life
that's
life happens, kids, and and then I just everything everything was more important than me. So I focus on everything else.
yes. All right. We're
Whatever.
definitely going to touch on that. So like
Okay.
the importance of putting yourself first and pouring back into your own cup. And that being the game changer. So I'm sure that the women listening can relate to that as well. How many times have we said, all right, January, I'm getting serious. January, I'm losing the weight. I'm going to do this differently. This time I'm going to stick with it. But every single time for you, it sounds like, a couple months in and then you fell off and it didn't work out. This
Yeah.
time though, in 2023, so this year, you started off strong in January. You were winging it, what I call winging it, trying to find a workout here, workout there, watch a YouTube video, etc. But like three months into it, you were like, okay, I need to stop playing with myself. I'm still
Yeah.
not seeing results. Nothing is changing. So now it's time for me to find somebody, a challenge or something, give me a boost out there, right? It just
Boost.
so happens we had connected. I don't know if it was initially TikTok or something like that. And then you ended up in the group. You ended up in the community.
The women went in weight loss, and I listened to some podcasts, and I heard the one about Zumba saving your life, and then after that, I think I listened to another one, and I was like, dang, she's
Mhm.
good, and I was like, ooh, and that was it. That was it. And when we had our conversation, that's when I just knew. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
knew. And like I said, I don't just do things like spur of the moment. But in that moment, I knew I was gonna sign up. I knew it. And then I was like, okay, I don't want to tell anybody, because if it doesn't work, then they'll be like, I know, yeah. So I was thinking like, okay, I need to be in a headspace. I need to focus on me. I, I'm not gonna say anything until I see results.
Results. Yeah,
If
I
I can
remember
get
that.
past, because the most I had dropped maybe 8 pounds, and then it all came right back. So I was like, okay, if I can get to 10 or past 10, then I know it's working. And so I waited. I didn't say anything. I told my sisters, like, I'm gonna get some counseling because I'm in a bad space. Because I considered you a counselor. So I was like, I'm gonna get some counseling. I'm gonna work on myself. I'm just gonna be quiet for a little while. And I got started, and it's like, I don't know. I was eating more, but the weight was coming off, and I was like, "What the hell?
This, I
What?"
got that right. Okay, that right there. All right. Did y'all hear that, ladies? Did you hear that? And
Yeah.
if you are watching this live inside of the group, drop some massive fire in the comments below on this one, because that is the number one feedback and reaction I get from my clients is, I don't understand. How
Yeah.
am I eating more than I was eating before? But all of a sudden the scale is going down
Mhm.
and I'm seeing real results, when before I was starving myself and I was not seeing results. I
And I
am
was eating
so glad
bread.
you bring that up.
I was eating bread too. I'm like, "What the heck?" Because I had to cut bread out before. I couldn't. I didn't understand it at first, and it took a few of our classes, our lives, for me to start realizing, And then you basically told me, you said, you fucked up your metabolism. That's what you did. That's what she told me. You fucked up your metabolism. So I was like, okay. But yeah, I was eating more, and I was eating carbs. And when you told me like 40% of my calories would come from carbs, I'm like, what the heck? How am I gonna do that? And sure enough, I was like, this is not gonna work. I kept thinking, it's how I'm gonna eat carbs. And how am I gonna do that and lose weight? And it started dropping, and I was like, something's okay. I was like, this is working. And then I think I was on a 6-week plan, and I remember we had a phone call after 6 weeks, and you said, "So, do you think you have the tools? Are you ready to go on your own?" I was like, "Nope, no." I knew it before the call. I was like, I can't leave now. I'm doing too well. I can't leave now because I'm gonna fuck it up, and some life is gonna take over. The boy's gonna need this, and I'm gonna get stressed. I was a stress eater. And like, say if I'm in the kitchen and my son would come to me and say, "Mom, I got a concert tomorrow." I would immediately go to the pantry and open the door and start looking for shit to eat, you know. And one day I was on the phone with my best friend. We were FaceTiming, and I said, "Did you see that?" And she said, "You went to the pantry." I was like, "I just went there and started looking for something because I started feeling
Immediately.
anxiety." Yeah.
Immediately.
So
Yep.
yeah. So
Yep.
yeah, that, oh gosh,
And I'm
it was.
glad you said, and I'm glad you said I was a stress eater,
I
because
was.
that is a big thing, y'all. That is a big thing that we
Yeah.
worked on helping you overcome. So that's amazing.
Mm,
So big wins here, and we got to highlight this, is before you came to me, you were convinced, like most women, that you had to eliminate your favorite foods. I heard you say that earlier too. When you started strong in 2023, the first 3 months, it was, let me eliminate all my favorite foods. I'm not eating carbs anymore, etc. But you were not getting results. And obviously it also wasn't pleasant or sustainable. And so you put in your mind, I can't be eating bread. I shouldn't be eating carbs. And also I should just be eating a lot less. That's what's going to help you. And so you didn't see the results. You hired me, even though typically it takes you time and you talk yourself out of making those decisions. On the
yeah.
call, you were like, that's it. She
That's it.
spoke to my soul. This is what I need. You made the decision, you invested right away. And I'm
Mhm.
so glad that you did not talk yourself out of this.
Yeah.
Because obviously this is an amazing testimony. But then so we started working together, and you're like, that's not gonna work. She's making me eat breads. She's
Yeah.
40% of my diet is coming from carbs. There's no way. How am I eating more now? And I told her that I wanted to lose weight. That doesn't make sense. And
Yeah.
I know we had these conversations frequently, which I didn't mind, because that's part of coaching. Part of coaching is helping my clients transform their mindset around things that are, hurdles or problematic or holding them back. And with you, I identified that, okay, there's a real fear of eating. There's a real fear of
Mhm.
carbs. I have to continue working with her on building a healthier relationship with food and understanding that this is my fuel. This is what I need. Right. And
Mhm.
so you follow through. One thing I have to give it to you. You always follow through, even when you had doubts, even when you question things, and you'd ask me questions, you would verbalize it. We'd go over it, and then you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And then you
Yeah.
go and do it.
Yeah. And
And
that was a little different from me too, because I'm one of those people. I don't like asking for help. I don't like to complain a lot. Like if something's bothering me and something's complaining, I'm in my head I'm like, "Ugh, I hate this." I always try to find a solution. I'm like one of those people, instead of complaining nonstop or just continue to complain and live in that, I would just look for a solution. So,
yeah,
on my own, I didn't like ask for help, but a couple things happened and I reached out to you, and then you said, well, let's try this. And it worked. It was like mind stuff,
yeah,
like with the water. I don't know if you remember with the water, for a minute, I couldn't get my water in.
yeah.
And then so you put like two options for me to click. So if I would, because I would be within 10 ounces of the 64 or 72, I think. And I just couldn't get it. And then you say, okay, I'm going to put 64 on here and 72. So when you get to the 64, you click that. And I found that when I would click the 64, I was like, well, that's 8 more ounces. I can do that. And then I would just knock it out. It was so weird that helped me,
The
but
mind,
it did.
yeah, but it
It did.
did. Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so amazing. You definitely were extremely coachable too. But the lesson here also is, all right, so you're the type of person that, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna go find a solution, but I'm not gonna complain about things, and I gotta get it going. But at the same time, I also am not accustomed to asking for help. So
Yeah.
in my time of need, or so I'm sure that this is something I can relate to myself. It's hard also, I think, to get to the point where we realize, hey, I can't figure this out on my own. I've
Mhm.
tried a million things a million times. I'm clearly not doing it right because the scale ain't moving. Ain't nothing changing. And so I think it is a hard realization, maybe pride and ego a little bit too for us, to eventually say, okay, I need outside lenses. I need somebody else to guide me and help me. I need someone else who's an expert in that. And I think this is a super valuable and important lesson and reminder to everyone here. It has nothing to do with, oh my God, I'm not grown enough, I need somebody else. That's not what it is about. Oh my God, I'm stupid, I don't have enough skills, tools, or whatever, expertise. Why should I need somebody else? What?
Mhm.
No, it's not that. The same way that when we're sick, we seek out our doctor. The same way that when we need to talk to somebody because we feel struggling mentally, we seek out a therapist, right? It's like everyone has their own set of expertise and their own set of tools. And we all are in our jobs and have our gifts for a reason to be utilized. So I think that's an important reminder to hear you say that too. Like, I'm not the type of person, I was never the type of person that asked for help. But in this particular scenario, I got to the point where I hit a wall so many times that it came to the point where it's like, be real with yourself at this point.
Yeah. And I like the weight was coming off. I was doing so good. Like my first 3 rounds, 3 months, little bit over 3 months, I was down like 26 pounds or so. And
Yes.
then July, something happened to me in July. Like I don't think I dropped a pound, and I was still doing all my workouts, but I wasn't feeling that motivation with my workouts. And I reached out to you about this too. It was like I would look at my workout the night before, and if I saw a 5 or 4, as in 50 minutes or 40 something minutes, I would freak out. I can't go hard for 50 minutes. I can't go hard for 40 minutes. I can't. I don't know what was going on with me. And I was like, and then I wasn't sleeping well during that time. And I just hit this brick wall in July. And I remember at the end of June, I had a lot of running around, a lot of trips. And I remember saying, when I got my last trip, my last outing, I got back on July 4th, and I said to myself, when I get back home, I'm not going anywhere for a week. Well, that week turned into like a month. And the reason I realized it was I have Life 360, and it shows like, you know, so and so home since 6 o'clock, so and so home since 3 o'clock. Well, for me, it said Tonya home since July 4th. And that went on for the whole month of July. I didn't even leave the house. And I was like, are you getting depressed? Is something going on?
Yeah.
So I wasn't motivated with my workouts, but I kept doing them. I just wasn't feeling them, and I wasn't happy about them like I was before. I wasn't like ready to go. Um, I was starting to do a little bit more snacking than I normally do. And then I didn't want to go anywhere. And then I noticed like I stalled for a minute. And I don't know. And you adjusted my workouts to make sure like I would see that 3, like 33, 39, even 39 was okay. But anything past that, I was like, so, and then it seemed like I snapped out of it. But I
Yeah.
stayed home for a whole month. And then something happened, and then right away, August, bam, another 4 or 5 pounds. It just dropped. It started dropping again,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm okay now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that too. So you lost 26 pounds in the first 3 months, which,
yeah, it was about 26.
yeah,
Yeah,
which amazing, y'all. Imagine losing 26 pounds in the first 3 months by eating more food, eating carbs, and not walking around deprived or starving. Amazing. And then the month of July, you struggled. A couple of things were happening, hit you harder, like mentally,
yeah,
some personal stuff. And then you just ended up kind of like sinking into like a mini depression episode. You were
yeah,
still working out, but you were not giving it you all. You were not pushing as hard.
yeah,
And then there was more emotional eating happening. There was more snacking here and there, and you just did not leave the house.
yeah.
And I remember this. And so I know that we talked a couple of times, and I was checking in with you and trying to get you back on track. And then I think this is a valuable teaching moment here too for the people listening, is that this is why it's so important to have the help that you need, because you're gonna go through shit.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not going to be a walk in the park 24/7. It's not going to be like a, happy go lucky all the time. That's not how life works. That's not how the weight loss journey works either, because things are going to continue to happen. But you continue to reach out, you continue to share with me what was going on and how you were feeling. And I was always firm about meeting you where you are, right? And
yeah,
that's that perfect example right here, because it was like, okay, right now you're mentally overwhelmed. The 40 minutes plus workouts, that's not, we're pushing it too hard right now. We got to dial it back. We got to get you back on track by easing you back in and being a little bit more gentle. So I met you where you were right then, and that's
yeah,
what we did. And that got you back on track. And then you had that tough month. You came out of it, and August, boom,
boom,
down
again.
another 5 + 5, 6 pounds, something like that. So now we're like crossing the 30. We crossed over the 30
Yeah,
something mark.
yep. I crossed over the 30. Actually, since I think I stopped a couple of weeks ago, but it's like 32. I think yesterday I was like it was 32 pounds yesterday. and like the muscles are coming in. It's like I'm
Yes.
doing my renegade rows. So yeah, I've been struggling since I left you, but struggling as far as like I wasn't like that first week. I was like, damn, nobody looking at my food log.
The accountability.
Yeah, I was like, nobody looking at it, but I still, I was still trying to, because that was key for me, like tracking what I was eating. But yeah, now, and I'm gonna back up a little bit. The old Tonya, like that month of July, like the old Tonya would have just, I would have folded. I probably would have just started going back to my old things. I would have been stress eating again. But I noticed, even though I was going through that hard time, I didn't really lose, or maybe 1 pound. I was just kind of at just a standstill, but I didn't go up. Like
Yeah.
I didn't go up, and I was like, whoa, the old Tanya would have really, I would have just jumped right into that hole and just like, okay, I'll
Right.
start over again next month.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I was like, don't mess up your progress. You're going through a
Yeah.
hard time. It'll pass. And it
Yeah.
it did. It passed. And
Absolutely.
I jumped
I'm
out of it.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you pointed that out too, because we had done a lot of work around your mindset, transforming your mindset, and
Yep.
working on stress eating, emotional eating, and learning to just build up your resilience as things are hitting you hard, because they will hit you. That's for all of us, but to continue to push through. And I know one big thing that changed the game for you was what I always talk about is just do something. Like
Just
just get up. Yeah. Just
yes.
continue to get up and just do something.
Yes.
um Especially as we go through depression and we have these bouts of depression resurfacing, or we get in those funks of things are happening. It's the importance of not backtracking all the way. It's
Mhm.
okay to dial it back for a little bit. It's okay, but let me not throw out everything that I've worked so hard for. Instead, let me just focus on maintaining. How do I maintain? By just continuing to do something.
Just do something.
um
And
yeah.
there were some game changers for me too, and they might help somebody else, but um tracking my food was key
I
because
was just
yeah.
I was just going to ask, you, for the women who are
Okay.
finding themselves now on this journey and in similar positions, who can relate to what you've
Mhm.
talked about, what you've been through, who want results like yours. What are maybe like two pieces of advice? Sounds like the first one is tracking.
Yeah, the tracking was key, and don't rely on your memory. Especially when you're a woman of a certain age, you're not gonna remember that shit at the end of the night. So put it in, like put the food in, put it in advance. If you kind of know what you want to eat, put it in, and you can just seeing those numbers is what really helped me. The other one was learning about protein. Before you, I knew nothing about protein, the benefits of protein. I, I that was like, but I learned about protein and how it helped me feel full, how it helped me build muscle. And key for me was getting the protein in early, 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 early. Like right now, I'm drinking some protein right now.
First thing in the
Um,
morning. Yep.
yeah, that helped. And you knew I want muscle. Like I want muscle, And my best friend was like, "You're not gonna be pimping around homecoming with me." And I was like, "Look, she got a lot of mouth." I was like, "You might need one of us got to know how to fight and have some muscle." So I really wanted to build muscle, so that protein
The
was key.
protein. Yep.
Yeah, and
So
then
definitely,
from a video was help. That helped me too. Just having
yes.
a video, not writing down stuff. Just push start and do it. That's what I
Yes.
need. So those were the
Yes.
two things that really helped me.
Yes. So for
Yeah.
you, game changers was definitely just learning how to set up your nutrition for success,
Yep.
increasing your protein intake, starting first thing in the morning, understanding what are my options, what should I be eating, how much of it, things like that. Having that structure in your life. And you're a
Yes.
very structured person, so that changed the game. The other thing too was, I know obviously a lot of the mindset work that we did together, right? And then you mentioned also having the app and being able to just have the workouts already in there for you, and you just put the start button and you're ready to roll, rock and roll, and just do it.
Yeah.
um I love that, because I've been talking about this a lot lately, but I love that you've seen a lot of value in tracking and logging your foods.
Hmm.
Not just because I was providing you feedback on all your logs every single day, but just for you, for the awareness and recognizing what you're doing.
Yeah.
um so for, if you had like one word of advice for the women who've been listening, who've been watching your journey, who've been inspired by you. If you had one word of advice for a woman out here who's really struggling, not making progress, has promised herself that every single January she was going to get on track and make it happen this time, and she keeps falling off every couple of months in the same boat that you've been in, what would be your advice to that woman?
Two things. Perfection holds back success. Stop trying to be perfect. Just do it. Just do it. Don't, if whether you're ready or not, just do it. So perfection holds back success. And the other thing, money. Money is always an issue with everyone. And I say, look at some of the shit you're spending your money on, and some of the people you're spending your money on, and use that money for you. It's
So much
well
value.
worth it. Yeah. Stop thinking, oh, because you go out and you'll buy every you order every diet, you order every tea, you order every the juicing place, they cost a lot. All those things that you would put money into to lose weight, stop.
Yep.
Get you a coach.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. This is so valuable, y'all. And I'm glad you said it. Because it's like the realization that, so many women out here are like, but I don't have the money for that. You do. Because when you're spending $8 a day easily on all kinds of other things. It's the bag of chips. It's the trips to the gas station, the corner store. How many times do you go to Starbucks? How many times do you go to McDonald's? How many times do you go to Taco Bell? When women are out here convincing themselves, I cannot afford to hire her, I can't afford to hire a coach, I can't get the nutritionist to train or whatever. That's not true. Go look at, and if you don't believe me, go look at your statements, go through them line by line and add up how much money you're wasting on Nutrisystem, Optavia, the fast food and the eating out that you're doing, the alcohol that you're buying, the cigarettes, weed, hey, you name it, right? The shoes that you're buying, the electronics, whatever it is. Everybody has at least one or more vices and things that they like to spend their money on. So I'm so glad that you said that, because you really have to get to the point where you understand, I need to take some of that money and I need to reinvest that shit into myself, because the way it's currently being spent, it's not appreciating your value. It's not. You're the asset. You got to reinvest that money into yourself. So thank you so much, Tonya, because that was incredible advice. That was profound. And I'm so glad that you said that, because I know that's going to hit at least a couple of women pretty hard. But everything you shared was so impactful. It was so valuable. I know you're continuing to inspire those around you. And y'all, just so y'all know, but then she inspired her sister so much that her sister became my client, and the other sister is on the way too.
Yep.
I actually have a call with the other sister next week. So,
oh boy. Yeah, she's been gung-ho from day one. She just had to get some medical bills out of the way, and she was like, I'm coming. Yes. But my younger sister, I remember telling her, like, don't sign up if you're not going to do it. If you're not going to follow plan, don't sign up.
And she's been doing it.
I haven't seen her in a minute. And I just texted her the other night. I said, I gotta see how much weight you lost, because I'm looking at her face on like pictures, and I'm like, what? So
she's losing weight. Yeah, she's gonna be my next live interview. She will be.
And after the 1, 2, 3, after the third one, then you got to put us all together and do something. You got to get us all together.
Oh my God. Yes. That'll be amazing.
Yeah. We're so different. We're so different, Anna.
I love it. But yeah, Tonya, thank you so much for doing this. This was amazing. I know that this is going to impact someone out here. Thank you so much for the listeners on the podcast, for being here, for supporting the show. Make sure that you share this with the women around you, the women at your job, anyone out here that really needs that extra push, extra motivation, just words of wisdom and some really awesome advice as they're navigating their own journey. And thank you, ladies, for showing up on the live or catching the replay inside of the community. We definitely appreciate all the support, all of it. So that's that. That's all we got, Tonya and I. Tonya's going to continue crushing her journey. We'll provide updates, etc. But other than that, just remember to keep a smile on your face. Spread love and positivity to those around you. And above all, remember that you deserve to live in the body of your dreams. All right. Bye, Tonya. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Peace.